All right, welcome everyone. Akasha here, Nan Akasha from nanakasha.com. And I'm so excited you've joined us here on BlissLife Podcast for the Global Healing Series. I'm so inspired to reach out and to find as many of these amazing energy medicine modalities. There are 8,000 in the US alone. And there's so much coming forward now that can help you without having to be a healer, without having to learn a certification. You can if you want to. But the problem is that we've all understood it's no longer just about the body. It's not just about our finances. This is about the bigger us, the big part of us, our light bodies, our minds, our emotions, our purpose, our love, and everything within it. So today I have someone I've just met. I went out, I found some people for this I already knew, but I knew that it was time for me to reach out way past my circle and out to find people in the world that are incredibly heart-centered, incredibly beautiful, and incredibly authentic in what they're doing. And Liora Brunn is one of those people that I just saw her and I knew. And we didn't have any conversations before today. And I can tell you, I am utterly thrilled that you're here with us. So thank you so much for taking time today.
Thank you so much for reaching out to me. It is an absolute pleasure. It is an honor to meet you. You are wonderful. I look forward to being in life with you for the rest of life. It's great.
I know, it's so great. It's so fun to meet the most amazing people. So what's wonderful is Liora is going to share how to put love into your life and your body and your energy where it is missing. And I know that you have a wellness center, you do Zoetic workshops, they're called, and you combine a lot of different modalities into something very unique. So I'm going to let you share a little bit about how you came to do what you're doing, why it's your purpose, your passion, and what is it that you do with your Zoetic workshops and your wellness center?
Okay, let's see. I started doing some healing work when I was a kid. I was about 10 or 11 years old, and we had a dog that liked to bring gifts back to our home, neighbors' nightgowns and sticks and whatever she could find. This is before leash laws, right? And they would be gifts on our back doorstep. And one day we got a white rabbit that I guess must have tried to get away, but she was the better of the rabbit. And we got this rabbit, followed by a little baby rabbit the following day. She'd found a warren. So we were getting these baby bunnies one day after another. And one day she was walking across the driveway carrying what I thought was a baseball glove, and it turned out it was one of these little baby bunnies. And this one was still alive. And she deposited this bunny right at my feet. And as it started to try and get away, of course, the dog was going after it. And I stopped her and I took the bunny and I brought it inside. And again, I was just a child, but I remember saying out loud, "Oh my God, what do I do with this?" And then I heard a voice. So it wasn't what I anticipated, but I did what the voice told me to do. And splinted and fed and created a nest and resplinted as the weeks went by, exercised this little bunny. And at some point, about 3 weeks later, my parents said, "We think we need to take this to a real vet." So we went to a real vet, and the vet looked at this bunny and said, "Looks like it was done by a professional and it's ready to be released in the wild." So that's how I started in the healing world. And in terms of, I don't know, the teaching or being connected, I really do believe that we all are. And I teach that we all are. And I've never had anybody in my class who has failed to be connected. It's just the way I say it is, God did not come down and sprinkle me with any magic fairy dust that you did not also get. So there are people who remember and have stayed connected through most of their lives and are able to see energy or feel energy or hear energy or however their gifts go. People who have done healing work in some fashion or another all of their lives. And there are people who remember doing that when they were younger and also remember other people saying that's weird or that's wrong, or who are you talking to? Or when you're talking to something spiritual, not seeable in 3 dimensions, and shut down. And then there are other people who have a sense that they used to be that way, but have forgotten and don't even know why or how or when that shut down. But we all have it. It's native to all of us. And opening that door up and expanding those gifts is very much what I love to do with people. I used to teach in the mid-1980s, and people were turning me into a guru, which I knew was wrong, but at that time did not have the wherewithal to train people that you are your own guru. The guru is within you. And so I quit, went underground for a few years until somebody who knew who I was lovingly and gently basically crowbarred me out of the closet. And the first level course for Zoetic workshops, thanks to him, got channeled through, and he was my research assistant. And a year later, the second course came out, and a few years later, the third course came out, and then a whole bunch of years later, the fourth course came out, and at this point, it's a whole bunch of years more. And the fifth and final course of the curriculum is about to be unveiled, I guess, or piloted is really what it is. Does that answer your question?
Yes, so meditation, but like you also have what was it, new paradigm multidimensional transformational healing or something like that. I forget the whole thing.
It's just one of the healing modalities that I've been trained in. I've been trained in a lot of different healing modalities.
Yeah.
I don't generally do that. I think that's great, though. I love that particular modality. It's John Armitage's work, and it's phenomenal. I can say, as somebody where healing comes through me, I don't believe that somebody is a healer. It's somebody who facilitates healing. It's somebody who, I don't know, my experience is like I'm copper wire, basically. It's just how much energy can come through little me for that person or those people or this planet. So that is one of the modalities I'm trained in. I love it because it widened the funnel. It made so much more available in terms of what comes through me for other people. So work that would take an hour and a half or a number of sessions basically happens in seconds or minutes, and we're done. So I'm a big fan of John Armitage's work.
Nice, yeah. So share some stories about your experiences with doing healing work, energy work, and different things that really not only kind of directed you on your path and your purpose, but made you aware that there's so much more than this one physical dimension that we're in.
Sure. Right after graduating college, a college friend of mine was putting together a show in theater, and asked if I would help him, assist him in directing the show and being part of the show. And his family had a beach house at Ocean City, Maryland, and he did a retreat for the cast and the people involved with the show as a kind of bonding experience. And at some point, there were a couple of people who were a little cranky with each other. And I just looked at them and said, I guess they've been doing that for a lot of lifetimes. And my friend looked at me and he said, "You think like that? I didn't know you think like that. I think like that." And then said, "Have you ever read Dick Sutphin?" I said, "What's Dick Sutphin?" He goes, "It's a who, not a what." And he said, "Dick Sutphin." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "He's written these books," and he named a couple of the books that Dick Sutphin has written. This is way back when. And it was, let's see, Born Again to Be Together and Past Lives, Future Loves. And so he told me to get these books and read them. And it was amazing for me that the belief system and the knowing that I had had my whole life was right there in black and white. I had no idea other people thought like this. And it just began this journey for me of reading and taking classes and learning from other people. And there are so many, that's a wealth of extraordinary teachers in our world with many, 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 as you said, 8,000 different kinds of healing in the United States alone. And there's so much more out in the world. There are just thousands and thousands, really. And so, like everybody else, I'm on a journey of learning and just providing as much as I can to as many as I can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I love what you said earlier when we were chatting. You said, I used to do, or what you were saying, I used to do the work, and then I realized I can't be the one that fix everyone, or however you put it. And so what I really love to do is teach.
Mhm.
And what I love about that is that not only does that, you can tell that you're really in your purpose. You can tell that you're completely aligned with what you do, what you love to do, your inner and your spiritual and your higher purpose, as well as in the practical world. And there's so many people who feel like that they either have to learn it and do it, or or be an expert or in some way. And yet this kind of thing is something I'm sure people come to your workshops for, and they may not even have an agenda, right? To be a teacher or to be a healer or to be whatever. Because all of this energy work really is personal work, at least initially, I'm sure. So share with us, what?
I don't know about you, but it's personal all the way through.
All the way through. Yeah, right.
Yeah. People come to our classes for whatever's going on in their lives. On our brochure, it's very clear that it's a curriculum. The third level course, the prerequisite is the second level course. The prerequisite for the second course is the first course. And the prerequisite for the first level course is your life thus far. It is really a come as you are party. It is, you're not going to be not you. There's no condition for anybody to be in before they take a class. All of us have these times when we're fabulous and not so fabulous. And that just goes with the territory of living life. So it is very much, you just come where you are, as you are, how you are. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, and we're all in the vat together. So people come as they do. We have people who have never meditated before in their lives. The curriculum is really, meditation is a through line with our courses, absolutely. Putting love in where love is missing is a through line in our courses, absolutely. Granting permission for the areas of ourselves where we don't have permission, which is usually reflected outside of us. We can see it a little bit more easily in other people or events, but it's really us. That's a through line in our courses. And so the classes are building blocks. And the reality is the people who come to our courses, some people have never meditated. Some people have meditated and failed, or tried, I should say. And they've done all kinds of things, like on the internet or another class or another teacher or whatever. And this is their last hope. Some people come because teachers have doctors have told them to come to Zoetic. And we do get a lot of that as well. We have people who come just because their friend or family member, or wife or husband has done it, and they go, wow, I can't believe the difference, and yes, I'll do it. We have people who have been meditating 30 and 40 years nonstop, who are really master teachers in their own right, who come and take our classes. It doesn't really matter. It is, you come as you are, and then this work impacts you where you are, as you are, in what's next for you. So
Perfect. So
yeah.
let's talk about love
Okay.
and how to put love where it isn't, and how relate it to what's happening for people right now, because when you're in fear and anger and desperation and uncertainty, we know they're low states of consciousness, and it's often very hard to feel loving toward yourself or anyone else. And the blame game starts and all this kind of stuff. So the world needs love. We all need love. And I love the idea of consciously taking that intent to put love where love is not.
So the way that we say it is put love in where love is missing. Have you got anything better to do? So It's really that we do put love in where love already exists. I think we just bopped off. Are you still here?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I lost you then.
I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay, good. I can't see you, but I can hear you. So we'll just do this orally. We put love in where love already exists naturally. We don't even think twice about it. When somebody loves you, you love them back automatically. Not the manipulative kind of twisted, not really love, but just love. If somebody just loves you, we kind of can't help ourselves. We just love them right back. So putting love in where love is an automatic. It is a natural, it's like breathing in and breathing out. Putting love in where love is missing, that's a little bit more of a challenge. And it really has a mindfulness and the incredible power that we've been given called free will. With our free will, we can choose to put love in where it isn't. We can choose to say, I love you, even when it's not necessarily socially acceptable. I can't think how many times in my life where I have said to somebody, I love you, and they look a little startled and say, well, I love you. It's just not what they would have done. And I go, thank you. There's a birthright that we have. We actually have a number of birthrights, like, I don't know anybody who doesn't want to make a difference in life somehow, or make a difference in somebody else's life, who wants to help, who wants to make something better. There's not a single person I have ever met who does not want to do that. That's one of our birthrights, making a difference in the lives of others. And it doesn't matter how large or small that is. And we think like larger is better or smaller is not good enough, but it's not like that. A man who his whole function in life is to make his children's lives wonderful is not a lesser man than somebody who is doing work at a global level and all of the gray areas in between. It's all needed. It's all part of who we are. And it's, again, we're just born wanting to do this, desiring to fulfill on this that we already are. So too, we are born already love. You can't look at a baby and go, okay, prove to me that you're worthy of my love. It just doesn't happen. So babies just lie there. They're just like flopping in nothing, right? And they're amazing. You look at a baby and your whole heart goes out, this beautiful, precious perfection. And that's how you were born. Everybody's like that. You were born already love. So that means you were born already loving. You didn't have to prove to somebody that you love them. You didn't have to demonstrate that you're loving them. You just did. Likewise, you didn't have to do anything to get love. You didn't have to prove your merit, like a really I am lovable. Okay, wait, what can I do now to show you how much I'm worth you loving me? Oh, okay, now what do I need to do? That's not how we start. We start already being loved, which means we start already loving and being loved. And then other stuff happens and we take on different belief systems. If we could take ourselves back to who we really are already, to that fundamental birthright of being love, then all there is to do is to be who we are. Infusing all that we do, all that we say with who it is that we are, it's much simpler. It's a lot more fun. It's amazingly more breathing room. There's much more wonder, awe, there's discovery, and then it becomes infinite expressions, infinite experiences, infinite discoveries of being that which you and I already are, being love, always finding new ways.
Mm.
So put love in where love is missing. Have you got anything better to do?
I love it. One of my favorite meditations that I've done, and I do it for my school as well, is we practice I am love, I am loved, I am loving, and I am lovable.
Oh, I love
And
that.
you know, it triggers all
Beautiful.
of the inner
Yeah.
negative voices and stuff, and so we can dig that stuff up and see what we're carrying around. And I'll tell you, this is profound for me, because when I first got on my spiritual path, my whole life fell apart, and I went looking for something different than I'd been taught, and found my way to a channel in New Mexico. And once a month, they'd have a talk. And I was sitting there in one of the talks, still a little suspicious, wasn't quite sure, but I kind of liked what they were saying. And he said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go around the room, and each person is going to say, I love, and then your name. So I love Nan. I was in the second row, and I started shaking. I started sweating. I started having a panic attack. My throat dried up because I couldn't do it. I had never in my life been able to do that. And I was like 32 years old. And so the idea of saying this, I understand, because now I can say I love you, I to myself and everybody else, but this is decades of work, right?
Right.
Um, so it's very profound to actually say I am loved, or I'm worthy of love, or I'm lovable. And we're not demonstrated or raised in most cultures and society nowadays that you are automatically lovable, only when you're little. And I watched it with my kids and my parents, you know, those are their only grandkids. They were so in love with them. And then they reached an age where all of a sudden they weren't acceptable. What's wrong with your hair? Why are you doing, you know, and all that stuff starts, right? And there's that break. And as a hypnotherapist, I know we have that. Everybody has a moment or many moments as a child where that love stopped coming, and you made an agreement. I'm going to be the best little girl and do what everybody else wants, or whatever. So it's really a deep and profound thing, and it can sound fluffy, but I love the way that you do it, because it's like, it is what it is. So share some more about us, about how do you do this, and how do you help people who come, who were like me, or who have a hard time believing that they are loved or love or lovable.
There are a lot of angles coming in, so it's not like I could say, how do you do it? It's going to be individual. It's not like, okay, here's the formula, it's the panacea, boom, we're done. So your life was so unique and individual and amazing in the way that it was, with all of its lessons and all of its soaring moments, and everybody has their own. So one of the directions is looking at it from that we live in a culture that uses the word God a lot, and some people don't believe in God. So I would say whatever word you want to use: universal consciousness, all that is, spirit, Wakantanka, which is white buffalo, meaning Father, Mother, Spirit. Whatever terminology works for you, that's a good one. Whatever that one is, I'm going to say God, just because for me that's like the everythingness of all of it. So inside of that, God is everything. Does that mean everything but you? How could that be? That's not possible. If God is everything, that's everything. So if God is everything, does that mean everything but you? How could that be? That alone gives pause. It's like, well, if God is everything, and that includes me, whoever you are, it's not saying you're walking around as the grand puppeteer of all life, but it's that element is part of you. You are sacred. You are holy. You're magnificent. You are unique. You are absolutely cherishable, treasurable, lovable, to be honored and respected always. And that's how that goes. It can't not be that.
Mm. And so in your workshops or with people, how do you put the love in? How do you help them to align with that understanding?
Well, I have a, it used to be that we would only talk about this with the course leaders and maybe some of the upper team leaders of Zoetic. And now I've said it in classrooms and I say it all the time, and it's sort of like having a dirty little secret. It really does. It doesn't matter what we say in our classrooms. I mean, you'll learn things in our classrooms, absolutely, but it kind of doesn't matter. One person once said to me, you could sit up there and just read the telephone book and people would transform in your space. And I said, it's because they are loved, and they're loved so wholly, exactly as they are, for a long enough period of time that they're able to drop some of the armor. Some of the armor just slips down and they don't need it anymore. They recognize they're safe and they are loved. And we do teach. I mean, we teach a lot of things. We teach all kinds of things. Wonderful. Everything from balancing your chakras to being able to read people at a distance or perceive people at a distance in great detail, actually, to getting guides, to learning how to grant yourself permission for anything that you bump up against. It goes all over the map. It is ultimately, when you get to the 4th level course, it is not just learning, it's being, and it's being, it's being one. There is no longer a separation of an I and a you, that you are inhabiting something that we call a body that's ending at the skin. We actually already know, it's been proven, oh my goodness, how many times, that our energy goes out beyond the confines of the body. And having that be something that is one, I don't want to say with everything that is, then it already implies that there's a you and everything else. It's actually just being one. You are everything that is, and everything that is you. And doing that, the 4th level course is a 2-week retreat. Doing that for 2 weeks is a long enough time for people to bring that into their lives and live as just being. That catapults life forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you mentioned permission, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of insight on that concept, because for me, that was one of those really big aha moments many years ago, when it must have been somebody I worked with, a mentor or something, who said, not just like, oh, you know, it's okay, do what you want, love yourself, but they looked right at me and they said, I'm giving you permission to love yourself.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe how profound that was to me. And then, of course, I still had to go through the doubts, but I use that with my students too, with my clients, with my family. Give yourself permission. And sometimes I even have a permission slip, you know, like I give, that you can print out and like stamp it and whatever, you know, because that's, you know, part of the hypnotherapist in me is I know, like these things, this is done, this is official, it can have an impact on. So share a little bit about how you use that, because it really is a very powerful concept.
We have a whole technique called permission conversations. And all of the work of Zoetic is proprietary. It's everything's filed at the Library of Congress. We are copyrighted. And this is one of those things. It's the technique of permission conversations is built on that we all have a long list of things for which we do not have permission. Said another way, we all have a long list of things that are just not okay with us. And it runs the gambit. So it could be something like what you just said. I don't have permission to love me, or I don't have permission to be head over heels in love with me. It could be, I don't have permission to lose the people I love. If we go to this coronavirus pandemic scenario that we're in. It could be, I don't have permission to be under house arrest. I don't, and if you get down to it, I don't have permission to be trapped. I don't have permission to be forced to do what I don't want to do, things like that. And there are people who are going the other way who don't want to start socializing yet. Like, I don't have permission for somebody else to tell me how and when to risk my life. There are a lot of ways that we don't have permission in life. And what happens is, with permission, like everything else in life, there is a polar opposite. You can't name anything that does not have a polarity. Everything has a polarity. So whatever it is you or I don't have permission for, that polarity then is a driven way to be. So for example, just to grab from that little clump that got talked out, if I don't have permission to be trapped, for example, or if you don't have permission to be trapped, then it's also that you do not have permission to live life freely or to call your own shots. And instead, that would be a driven way to be, like it's the right way to be and the righteous way to be and the socially conscious way to be. And you would probably also go about telling other people how they could live their life more freely and call their own shots more powerfully too, by the way, while we're at it. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. When you do a permission conversation, in the end, these two come together. They seal themselves together. And then the entire issue disappears as an issue from your life, as far as we can tell, literally forever. It is a permanent transformation of being. And we do this one facet at a time with the different things that we don't have permission for. So in the end, will it be that you may, from time to time, be trapped? Just to stay with that example, yes. But will you have these knee-jerk, oh my God, I cannot stand this kind of reaction? No, that emotional hook will be completely disappeared. And likewise, will you have a life where you can call your own shots? Yes, but not in the way of having it be a driven way to be, like you have to do that and it's the only real recourse there is. And instead, it's just fluid. Furthermore, something that had in the past occurred as being trapped likely would have a totally different occurring. I don't know what that would be, but it wouldn't be the same. It might be more like, oh, this is a way of taking care of you. This is a way of learning new lessons. This is a way of finding different kinds of freedom. I don't know, but it would be not trapped. It would be something else. So that technique, well, I think it's probably worth its weight in gold to have just that from the classes that we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we apply that to the idea of love and that we are all love and there's no way not to be love, and yet most people don't feel that they're good enough, loved, loving, lovable. And you have I don't have permission to think I'm lovable. I definitely had that as a kid. You know, it was like, you're too this and you're too that, and why are you doing that? And everything was wrong, you know, that came
Right.
out naturally. And I know many people have different things like that. So certainly, like, my problem saying I'm love or I'm loved was just like, I was told, you do not think you're great. You do
Right.
not, this is not allowed.
Right.
And so, you know, if we don't have permission to be loved or to believe we are loved or worthy of love, and then the opposite of that, can you talk a little bit about that?
I can. If you take, thank you for, that's such a great question. It's a brilliant question. Thank you. If you take that you are loved as a fundamental, that you are born in this way, and that it is native and natural to who you are always, then every relationship that you are in, and it's relationship with everyone and everything, whether it is the carpet under your feet or the person across the table from you, anybody, and it doesn't matter if they're alive or dead, everything is relationship. We don't have not relationship. You can't name anything with which you or with whom you do not have relationship, whether you know the person or don't know the person. Even if it's somebody where you've gone, I am done, I am out of here, you are never in my life again. every time you think about that person, that's the relationship you have. So
Yeah.
you never don't have relationship with people or things. Anything that you identify, you have a relationship with. So going back to the fundamental that who you are is love, then every relationship you have either is an expression and an experience and an enhancement and an exploration of what that love is, or it is a demonstration for you of what are you bumping up against, what is this wall that you're hitting or this boulder that you're hitting that is stopping you from being who it is that you natively are. Then you get to work on that. Whatever that is that's stopping you, that's what you don't have permission for. You get to work on yourself that way. And then once that is handled, once that is healed, literally within you, that is no longer an impediment to being the love that you are.
So what does it feel like when you are the love that you are? I know it's different for everyone, but what are some of the signs or symptoms that you see your students experiencing?
I see relationships healing. I see a son who never talked to his mother for 7 years end up doing courses with his mother and is in touch with her ever since. I see a man who was genuinely sad and was doing a permission conversation to be sad and believed that if he could just ladle out, like spoon out the last drop of sadness from the well of sadness within him, then maybe he could be happy. And I asked him, do you have permission to be happy? It was a startling question for him, and he recognized the answer was no. And when he had permission to be happy, he has lived a life ever since with a full spectrum of feeling. I see people who have healed relationships with their exes, ex-husbands and wives. I see people who have got children they love, but they just can't wrap their brains around them, and children who have had torturous relationships or great relationships with their parents that only get better and that are actually healed, where they just no longer have the stuff that they used to have that stopped them from being head over heels in love with the people in their lives. That's
so beautiful. So do you have something you want to share or guide us with, or some tips on how people can do this, putting love where love is missing?
I have 2 things I actually want to say with that. One is I have piggybacked that since we have been in what I actually lovingly and affectionately call house arrest, because I think it's really good that we're doing this.
Yeah, I do too.
Thanks. It's also about putting healing in where healing is missing. So they're like companions. They're 2 wheels of a cart. In Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism, they talk about life as a 2-wheel cart. If you only have 1 wheel, then you spin in circles. If you take off that wheel and put on the other wheel, you spin in circles, but the other direction. You need both wheels to go forward and backward and turn and do things that actually can direction your own life or direct your own life. So it's just this past, I don't know, 10 days maybe, that it feels to me like this is the second wheel. It's putting love in where love is missing and putting healing in where healing is missing. So for those who meditate, and I guess those who don't, and I really will say that meditating makes the biggest difference of anything I have ever seen. People who meditate, their brains calm down, the brain chemistry literally balances. The amygdala, which is the fight or flight center, reduces in size while the frontal lobe increases, which is where we learn and where we end up having those synapses grooved so that we learn and maintain that learning. Meditation for older people where there's memory loss. It's actually proven that meditation can slow down, stop, and in some cases has even reversed memory loss, which is amazing. The healing that takes place as a result of meditating in your body, in your mind, emotionally, is literally infinite what can happen from it. So having it as a practice, or as we like to say, practice the practice, practice the practice, meditating 2 to 3 times a day, the focus increases, productivity, the average increase in productivity is 30%. For anybody out there who's listening and says, well, my life is too busy, I can't shove 20 to 30-minute meditations in once a day, let alone 2 or 3 times a day. Are you kidding? The reality is when you meditate like that 2 to 3 times a day, your productivity increases, your focus increases, you literally get more done in less time. So it ends up being very much worth your time and your while to do that. And there's just simply greater peace personally. And that greater peace enables all of that. So the meditations that I have been doing lately, which have been about putting love in where love is missing and putting healing in where healing is missing, is with my right hand palm down and my left hand palm up. Both giving and receiving. It's the balance. It's the yin and the yang. It's the Star of David with the 2 superimposed triangles of equal proportion. It's the universal and the individual. It's the spiritual and the material. It is the balance point. And it is both receiving from all energy and Mother Earth, all that there is, and giving to Mother Earth and all that is, all that comes through you. So it is healing all that is in the earth, of the earth, on the earth, from the earth, and that is the earth itself, as well as receiving all that is that. It is all one, and that is you. It is putting love in where love is missing to all people and all things. It is putting healing in to all people and all things. And it is receiving all of that back as well. And it's not for anything. There's no agenda. There's no in order to. It is for its own sake. It is pure and it is whole as is. And doing that mindfully is one way. Doing it in a meditation is another way. Neither way is better or worse. They're just different. But doing it, that makes a difference. Mm-hmm. And it makes a difference in the world as well as making a difference in you. Mm. Did I lose you? It's silent on this end.
No, just breathing in and feeling the love. It's beautiful.
Nan?
Yep. Can you hear me? Hello?
What a place to cut off.
I can hear you. We can see you. It's all good.
I think what I will do is this.
We're good.
Just go right there.
Can you hear me now? I'm going to share Liora's, while we're waiting for her to be able to hear us again. We can hear and see you, if you can't. She has a gift, and it is a talk on love being a universal force and a meditation on how precious you are. So I'm excited to be able to share that with you. And let me see here. I want to make sure to give you her website.
I'm so sorry. This cut out in sound completely. I apologize.
We could see you and hear you the whole time.
I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And I just told them about your bonus.
Oh, good. Thank you.
And I called it a talk on love is a universal force and a meditation on the precious you. And so share with us your website and how people can get a hold of you.
The website is www.zoeticwellnesscenter.com. Our courses grew and grew, and we ended up having to build a wellness center. So we have a lot of amazing practitioners, everything from acupuncture, Feldenkrais, sound healing, yoga, nutrition. It goes on and on. I know I'm going to miss things, but we have massage, healings, people, Tai Chi classes, birthing classes. We have cooking classes. It's really quite extraordinary, the caliber and the quality of who people are and what they do in our wellness center. So the Zoetic Wellness Center is in Pikesville, Maryland, and that is the website. And Zoetic Workshops is on that website, which again is www.zoeticwellnesscenter.com. And the other way you can get a hold of us really easily is every day at noon. We have a Facebook Live streaming. The world of technology, the language is very new to me, so I'm always stumbling.
Live stream, yes, the live stream.
Thank you, live stream. So we have a live stream every day at noon on Facebook with Zoetic Workshops, and it's several of our leaders. I'm doing most of them, but not all of them. And so we have a teaching and a meditation. Sometimes it's just a meditation. Sometimes it's 2 meditations. We go for about an hour, sometimes a little less. But it's popular enough. We are reaching basically a couple thousand people a day, which is amazing to me. I really had no idea this was going to happen. But I think if it makes a difference in people's lives, that's a good thing.
Yes, definitely.
And we also, because of this, we had a few people request that we also please do something in the evenings. And so now we also have Thursday nights. So today's Thursday. I know this is going to be aired another time, but Thursday evenings at 8 o'clock, we also have a live stream happening on Facebook with Zoetic Workshops. And that's Z like in zebra, O-E, T like in Thomas, I-C, Zoetic Workshops.
And what does Zoetic mean? Can you share
Zoetic
that with people?
means of or pertaining to life, which is exactly what we're all in.
Yeah. Fantastic. We are in it. There is, I did some ayahuasca ceremonies with the shaman, and the second one, I lost my body, and I was, in hell for a while and all that. And so I called her over and I said, okay, I think I want out. What do I do? Eat food, go outside, throw water on my face. How do I stop this? And she has a deep voice. I'll never forget it because it's sort of like my mentor that comes back to me so many times now. There is no out. There's only through.
Yes, I love it. It's like the children's book, Going on a Bear Hunt. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. Yeah. Oh no, we've got to go through it.
Yeah, we got to go through it.
Yeah,
and it's a great thing to remember now. What a beautiful message, and what a beautiful lady you are. I'm so thrilled that we've met. I'm so appreciative that you've taken time to share your work and some of this beautiful wisdom and this beautiful love energy. Is there anything you'd like to share before we close?
I will say a couple of things. First of all, thank you. Thank you again I don't even know how you found me, but thank you for finding me, and really what a blessing it is to begin to know you, really and truly. Thank you so much. I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity, and I hope that it does make a difference for people out in the world. I will say, never stop yourself from saying, I love you. Everybody I talk to, even on the phone, students and family, and no matter what, I know when I was growing up, my mom used to say, never go to bed mad. You can only go to bed when you can hug each other, kiss each other, say I love you, and mean it. So I've taken it on as a practice in my life, kind of everywhere. And amazingly, all of the people who are on the leadership team for Zoetic Workshops, everybody does this now. We all say, I love you before we hang up. And we're doing that out in the world. So I would just offer that out to the world. Say, I love you to anybody. Really. Put love in where love is. Put love in where love is missing. Put healing in where healing is. Put healing in where healing is missing. Have you got anything better to do?
Oh, I love it. Wonderful. Oh, so thank you. Thank you again so
And
much.
I love you.
And
Thank
I
you
love
so
you.
much.
Yay. I'm going to do a little happy dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're watching the video on YouTube, all of the links to find Liora are there. If you're listening to the podcast, we've got the same thing in the description. Of course, if you're on my email list for this or for anything else, you can ask us. We are sending you all this information. I hope that this has been inspiring. I can't wait for you to get the bonus. I can't wait to get the bonus. And and why don't we close by putting some love into the planet and sending it out to wherever it is missing. So, let's do this. Say I love you to yourself. And then take the love as heaven rushes in, as that energy rushes in to help you realize that I love you. And let it fill you up. Let it move down through your fingertips and your toes. And just feel it beginning to drip off of you, go down through the floor, into the ground, and all the way into the liquid crystal heart center of the planet. And say, I love you to Gaia, to our sister, to our mother, to this beautiful home who's going through her healing as we all together transition and evolve. And now take that love that's pouring to you and through you into Gaia and give yourself permission to receive it back and feel it beginning to come up from the earth and into you. And as you feel it coming in, just go into a flow. I like infinity flow, down and up. I love you, and I love you. Wonderful. So we give you permission to love yourself, to decide that you're going to put love in where it's missing. And usually that starts somewhere inside of us. And it can go out to your family, whoever you're sheltered in with. Could go out to the governments and the first responders and the people who are going to work in essential jobs. And it can go out to the planet and out past the stars. So I think this is wonderful. You can go out today, give yourself permission, say I love you, look in the mirror if you want to do some Louise Hay stuff, and really think about that. I already have it in my head, being a hypnotherapist and liking to set programs, to run automatically, is I already can see myself sort of asking that a couple of times during the day. Is there love missing here? Let's put some in. Maybe putting love into your food, maybe putting love into your water, and anything else that you drink. So thank you again, Liora.
Thank you so much, Nan. You're totally running with it, and it's exactly the way to go. I also say, do things that love yourself, whether it's taking a walk or eating a palm full of raisins, whatever, a hot shower, whatever it is that actually loves you, love you. Do the things that love you.
I love that. Yes. Wow. And then visualize and imagine what the planet's going to be like as we're all doing this, because that's where we're going. All right, everyone, have a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you again. Share these, make sure that you use this information, you remember it, you go get this beautiful gift from Liora, and take everything that you're feeling when you feel that expanded love, when you feel that you're being loved, when you feel like you're in that flow. Don't keep it here because it's an infinite source, right? So start to feel like you're emitting it. You're putting it into the pen that you pick up. You're putting it into each step, each breath, each look, each touch that you do. And let's create a planet that has nowhere that the love is missing. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you, Nan.